Sturgeon here in the bottom left versus Trigger in the top right.
Straight for a king crab
Sturgeon.
rush.
Oh, my God.
You dirty boy. How dare you.
He's going for mud crab.
The mud crab build. I love that. What was the original mud something?
Mudman from StarCraft 1.
Yeah, that's the one base carrier PvP.
Yeah. You just turtle and you don't leave your base and they think you're stupid. Like you'll make a cannon at your ramp and they're like, oh, you're bad. I'm not going to try. And then 4 carriers come out and win the game. Okay. There's going to be a little tug of war here in the middle of the map. Gunbot's going to try to drive back the Scorpions.
I love the one Wasp just to poke forward and scout ahead of the Gunbots and just be able to track where the army is going at all times. That's actually sick. That's such a crazy play to do, and like to actually be so active with it the whole time is really, really good here. It's also going to allow him to scout exactly what the tech unit is going to be, if it is King Crabs or Shockers. Again, it's probably just King Crabs, but it's just good to actually get the scouting confirmation.
So. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, Trigger's just so good with the actual multitasking that he's always going to be able to keep it alive and get the scout, too.
So let's see. I think he might do the variation of this build where he sends the one crab up to the natural and sends everything else into the main, but maybe not. I guess everybody does this differently than the way I understood it. They just go straight for the natural. Now, this does position this so that, Gunbots can try to kite behind, but the Scorpions are going to hit from the side.
Very nice little pincer move here by Sturgeon. Is able to get on top of this natural here. At least needs to kill that to keep himself even. The Scorpions also getting on top of all of these Gunbots. Unfortunately, not able to get the best trade possible there, but that does allow him to freely take the natural. And if you don't get the natural, then you're essentially dead in this type of style. So the way that Sturgeon plays this is that he's trying to make it so that way he at least trades, so that way he can be even on economy by getting his own natural up as well, and then eventually teching into a father tech.
So there's Crusaders out here. You always want to lead with the Crusaders. They're big damage sponges. Positionally, I think this still favors Sturgeon. I think he can make... First of all, you cannot take a third base because he's just going to kill it in the moment it lands.
Yeah.
But also, it's hard to get out. You know, Gunbots, they're not actually that fast. I know they look fast when they... what are we calling it? Overclock? When you basically when you use stim on them. They're pretty good. But the issue is that, you know, when you have melee attackers that are fast, like Scorpions and King Crabs, you just sort of run by them and generate threats over there. Now, Sturgeon's teching to Falcons, as well as, I think they're called airships, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But he's going to be going for Falcons here. There's 0 anti-air here.
Literally.
So he's literally going to just try to sit here and just make as many Falcons as possible and then counterattack to try and buy time to do that, so that way he can eventually win this game. He did beat Trigger on Laddery last night on his stream, doing something very similar here. So can he do the same exact thing in a tournament setting, trying to delay Trigger as much as possible, getting on top of all of the worker lines with both sections of his army. He's able to wipe out all of that completely, but he's going to be losing the entirety of his army to do so.
Yeah, he's diving on these workers. No workers available over here at the natural. He might want to actually run out with the few guys that he has left over here. Okay, can we check the tech progression? So he's
Falcons
gonna
are
have,
ready.
Yeah, I think he's actually okay. So I think there's something like literally 4 workers at the main of Trigger. Okay, no, It's a little bit more than that, about 7. But the point is, it's really low.
But there's no anti-air. He can't shoot the Falcons. He literally can't shoot them, and he has no money to actually tech into anything to be able to do it. He has to try and DPS down through the army to then kill the main base.
Okay, now there is an attack above this. I don't know if it's going to be that easy to cover both these areas with the Falcons. I know they're right next to each other, but the Falcon is painfully slow when you use it.
Yeah. It's the only bad thing about it. Everything else is insane.
It does feel like he should separate the Falcons and just push out in 2 different areas.
I mean, he's even able to get on top of these Crusaders and Gunbots on the bottom side. He doesn't even need the Falcons for this fight. They're just kind of sitting over here and defending the top side. Needs to make sure he doesn't go too far, because then he's going to get surrounded by the rest of the army up here. But this is looking incredible for Sturgeon.
It's super important you don't let the Gunbots target the King Crabs. They're actually, they kill him pretty quick. Okay, he's going to come in here with the Falcons from above. Now, look, this attack is never going to win the game, but at least it's buying time here for Trigger.
Yeah, that's the only thing Trigger is thinking about right now. He needs to buy time just the same way that Sturgeon was trying to buy time initially for the Falcons. Now Trigger needs to buy time for his own airships to kick in before these Falcons can get across the map. And to be fair, they take a really long time to do that. That's the biggest downside to them, and it seems like Steve doesn't even want to go for that. He does just want to... Actually, no, never mind. Okay, it looked like he was just kind of trying sitting at his third base here and just take the third base advantage, but he will eventually now start to send some of them across, maybe even just doing a little bit for harassment, it seems.
So he is going to set up as well to hit the natural expansion. Now, Dragonflies and airships are almost out here for Trigger, but the natural expansion may be the weak point. The Scorpions are going to come in here. He can wedge them in the back and just wipe these workers out. Meanwhile, the same idea here, only with Wasps going to the natural expansion. There's nothing over here to defend.
Gonna have to go and send all these newly produced Scorpions over to defend against this. Wasps do kill the workers a bit slower than the Scorpions, so only a few actually getting taken out. Meanwhile, literally every single worker getting killed at the natural here. But now the Dragonflies are out for Trigger, but the airships have been made in response because obviously Steve has both those tech options available. He can still keep these Falcons safe, and his army supply is still in a nice advantage here in this upcoming fight.
Okay, he's going to try to push in again. I think the air superiority is just too good right now for Sturgeon. Oh, hold on. There's another attack over at the natural. I think that's just enough Scorpions. It doesn't matter. But the Dragonflies are going to wrap around. Now, the Dragonflies can wipe out all of the workers.
This is actually an interesting decision here by Steve. I mean, he's going to be going right across the map here to be able to actually try and end it. But, I mean, the Falcons are left at home, but they're not actually able to shoot air. He's going to try to get a couple airships, but that actually is going to be it. Sturgeon takes the first game against Trigger, which is something that I think maybe a lot of people will be a bit confused about because, obviously, Trigger is the much more known player when it comes to this series.
Honestly, I'm not that surprised. I've known Sturgeon for a long time. He's just really good at like every game he plays. It's kind of crazy. So it's going to be a 1-0 lead right now. Actually, a great first game. Interesting to see the way the King Crab Rush plays out. The fact that it kind of forces the other player to try to counterattack, and then you just tech into air. It might have looked a little bit weird that Trigger kept attacking in. We didn't have anti-air, but the idea is that if he doesn't keep attacking in, the counterattack will kill him.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's pretty big.
No, I'm pretty hyped, man, for Sturgeon right now, dude. I mean, we theory craft a lot about this game. Actually, we're like always talking about this. He like gives me tips and everything, and we're just always talking about it. And he was pretty a little annoyed, I guess, at first when he saw that he had to play against Trigger in the bracket. But then last night he was able to take the game off him, and then he suddenly was like, "Hey, wait a minute, we can actually do this." And now here he is, up 1-0 in the beginning of it. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's exciting. By the way, this game, Trigger, did he go for missile bots last time?
Nope.
No, right? Not. So this is a small adjustment, maybe because of the air dilemma that he had to deal with in the last game.
Yep. I still love those, just like the single scouting unit sent across, just always keeping aware of exactly where they're going. It's a very nice play out of Trigger to be able to keep tabs on where these Scorpions are going.
It's got to be wild being a gunbot running away, just making eye contact while boosted running backwards.
Can't catch me, you can't catch me.
Okay, so he's going to try to hit that Scorpion. This is just going to be 3-base play. Sturgeon's teching, right?
Yep, going into the Falcons yet again. So he's disrespecting the missile bots here.
Yeah, so he might just go for a straight-up push. Falcons, I think, might be able to take on missile bots. Yes. I know they changed this unit. For a little while, the missile bot was actually, like, probably too strong. Mm-hmm. I felt like I never lost anything air-related with it, it had a nerf. I think it's a pretty good unit. I think it pairs pretty well with the gun bots as is.
It's definitely overall the best anti-air tier 1. The thing is that Falcons are just so good against all tier 1 anti-air. So even though there are a lot of gun bots out on the field right now, Sturgeon thinks that is not really an issue, and he's going to try and just push the Falcon card anyway and just try to go for some massive push here to just completely overrun it.
Trigger's on 4th base?
That's kind of crazy.
Wow. Sturgeon takes his 3rd right before the Falcon tech can really come out here. You can see how hard it is to deal with the gunbots with Scorpions or Crabs here.
Yeah, they are able to kite them extremely easily here. I mean, the missile bots also being able to overclock with them also can stay out of range and not get surrounded by the Scorpions or anything. But the Falcons are going to start coming out now, and that's going to make it much more difficult for these fights to actually swing towards Trigger's favor, because the Falcons just do so much damage. And if you can keep the missile bots away from the Falcons and they can't target fire them, it can get extremely deadly really quickly here. And now Steve's going to try to go in.
Now, Sturgeon is actually staying... Well, Trigger's keeping Sturgeon out of range, so the Falcons are barely being utilized here. He's going to switch. He might move up into the expansion and try to kill workers here.
He's going to be able to get a couple of those, which is quite nice, but the rest of the Scorpions are dying over on the bottom side here. This army is essentially all missile bots, actually, which is kind of crazy. A few lone Falcons actually getting segmented away here, and the other one's also at the top getting a bit over eager here. So Sturgeon actually kind of misplaying it a little bit with a couple of his Falcons. Will actually lose them, and a bit of a weird trade-off here as he's actually losing quite a few units.
I feel like he's really behind right now. I think what we got to do is see if he can actually even survive this next attack. I mean, 4 base versus 3. I know that there's no workers at the 3rd base for Trigger. But, I mean, with the number of missile bots he's got here, he's actually got maybe almost too many missile bots. I feel like he could have a couple more gun bots in here. But he's going to try to push this 3rd base.
Yeah, he's really doing the micro very well here. Sturgeon is just trying the best to keep the Falcons out of range of the missile bots, because if they can get dived on, they will eventually get killed off here. And there goes one right there. Nice target fire by Trigger. But the Scorpions are really starting to thin out here on the ground. It's very difficult to actually keep them going for this long. But, I mean, the Falcons actually, oh, they deal so much damage. These fights look so awkward. It keeps looking like the Scorpions are going to thin out, and then we can just jump on the Falcons. But it doesn't actually work that way, because the Falcons also take forever to die.
Yeah, the Falcons are very tanky. Again, there's so many missile bots here. It really is the combination of having the Falcons and something on the ground to kind of push. Now, he's almost in range of this base. Remember that the workers have now respawned over here. Good control here by Sturgeon, by the way. You can actually micro the weaker units to a side where they're going to be a little bit harder to reach.
I'm just looking at this, honestly, and just kind of... I'm actually just trying to learn this, because it's actually so hard to kill
crazy.
off Falcons.
Like, yeah.
There's literally zero tech here from Trigger. He's just sitting on 4 bases, just trying to spam out as many missile bots as possible, trying to out-micro these slow freaking little units that just barely move but deal so much damage and take so much hit points. And I mean, he's just slowly getting pushed back and back. You can just see how difficult it actually is to get favorable trades as the anti-air player against these Falcons unless you have tier 2 air.
It's funny because like this is organically moved into the natural. Like I don't think that was the plan, but that's like where the fight's been happening. The workers are being killed off at the 3rd base here. Or no, there's a Falcon kill. And he takes out that. I think actually Sturgeon's going to win 2-0.
Dude.
This is insane. Look at this.
Falcons are crazy, bro. They just don't die. It's like so hard to get on top of them. You need tier 2
He's
air.
going to stutter step micro back into Sturgeon's base with the missile bots. All right, GG.
Oh my god, dude. Sturgeon. Look at him go, man. The gamer himself. I'm so proud of this little guy, man.
That was impressive.
I say little guy. He's like 10 years older than me.
Yeah, I think he's bigger than you too.
Yeah.
In every sense, he's bigger than you right now, right?
Especially in this video game right
now. That was one very different game, I got to say. You know, we've had a couple best of 5s that kind of look like each other, which obviously that makes sense. I mean, we're all kind of being influenced by each other's ideas. But that was very different. That was very cool. It's kind of funny because it looked like that fight was probably supposed to happen over the 3rd.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's like, because the
we're just slowly
yeah, he just moves into the natural, and then, yeah.
I guess we're fighting here now.
I guess this is where it's going down.
You can't really pick your fights yourself as the Falcon player. You kind of just have to go wherever the other person's kiting away from you from and just continually chase them, because otherwise you're just going to get surrounded or something.
It's so funny. Like, I've had a little bit of this experience with Cat Bus. It's not kind of the same idea, but I just sort of rush into Cat Bus, and it seems like if you get enough Cat Buses and you just micro them so you don't lose the first couple of them, if they just have tier 1 anti-air, you can overtime start to win the fight.
Yeah.
You can start to snowball the game. We're going to be going into game 3 right now. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this tournament in the comments section, what you think about the games that you're seeing. That helps me get content like this to people like you. Also, please go to tastelessthreads.com, my merch site. We've got a lot of cool stuff up there. Now we're into, this is game 3. Right now, Sturgeon up 2-0. Trigger, who was clearly the favorite in this, sticking with Gunbots again. He needs to win 3 games in a row. If Sturgeon takes 1 more, he's going on to the Final 4.
Yeah, there's going to be a change this time out of Trigger as well, going for the Blink Hunters here instead of the Missile Bots. Going to try to do something a little bit different to possibly deal with the follow-up Falcon play that's Sturgeon might be trying to go for yet again. And there it is. It's been working two games so far. Might as well keep going for it.
Bird lady, Sturgeon guy.
I mean, we literally were talking about this last night as well. We were like, dude, the Falcon is so hard. We don't even. What do you even do against this unit? And he's like, yeah. It. I mean, I don't know, man. Here he is, continuing to go
Sturgeon's
for it.
Our crazy bird lady. I dig it. This is. Let's see how if Trigger can figure this out.
Yeah.
If he can see what the solution is. We don't have any definitive tech yet.
I mean, it looks like he's just going to go for Blink Hunters is what it's going to be. He's not got an anti-air unit. He's got Dragonflies, but it's not really a specialist against anti-air. So he's going to try to go for the Blink Hunters and see if they can use that extra mobility to try and blink under the Falcons and really abuse the slow pathing of the unit itself.
Okay, he's going to try to come down. This is really going to come down to, can you basically stop this before it starts, if that makes any sense. A little counterattack. All right, he's coming in, pushing this position down here. He's going to let this his expansion soak some damage, then try to push back up.
Falcon's going to slowly start to streamline in here one at a time as he gets the resources. The third base here from Trigger a little bit faster, so Sturgeon, should actually keep this alive. He needs to keep this alive, otherwise he will slowly start to get outmassed here by Trigger.
He needs to have enough Scorpions that there's kind of a meat shield here on the bottom that can basically tank and soak damage. He's just now going to get his new, the dive!
Wow, that was really nicely done by Trigger there. Really abusing the Falcons before they can get in mass here. Wow, that was actually clinical by Trigger. That was insane.
Dude.
Talk about adaptation. Oh my god.
He just crushed that. That was a really great game. That's really impressive to see that transition.
Something tells me we're not going to see another Falcon the rest of the series.
Yeah. You could say his wings were clipped in that game.
Ooh, a Birdman can't fly anymore.
We're going to go to game 4 now, guys.
That was quick and dirty.
That was, well, that's why you always want to have a good a series, right?
Yeah.
Because, that game, it's like, okay, he does know how to deal with Falcons. He has not got the solution. By the next game, he's got the solution.
Yeah. That's pretty cool how this works. Like, just the whole idea of being able to adapt decks in between games and whatnot to really just immediately counteract whatever your opponent has been seemingly winning with. And, I mean, great adaptation here from Trigger. Now it's going to be on Sturgeon. Will he continue to go for this Falcon play and just be like, okay, maybe there's something I can do to counter this Blink Hunter play and maybe make this work a little bit better? Or should we just abandon it altogether and try for something else?
I don't know. We could go back into King Crab play. Sturgeon, I've seen him do a lot of different techs as well. He's gone for gunbot pushes. In the game I casted where you played him, it was like Crusader gunbot push. Did a pretty good job there, too. We're now into game 4, everybody. Let's do this.
Ooh, Stingers as the other unit of choice out of the Starforge from Sturgeon here. That's actually very interesting. Actually, Blink as well. Both double Blink here for Trigger. Normal Blinks and Blink Hunters. Interesting choices. I'm very curious what this Stinger choice is going to be here for Sturgeon.
Yeah, this is interesting. He's going to send Scorpions out in 2 different directions here. And, a bit of a chase over here. You got to be careful when you're have stray Scorpions on the map versus Blinks. Now, this is a great move. He can go and try to wedge in here. He doesn't even want to engage with the Blinks right now.
Oh, yeah. He just wants to get on this worker line as soon as possible. We'll be able to do that. I mean, the problem with Blinks mostly is that they are fairly low DPS. They do take a long time to actually kill off any units. Their mobility is great, but they can't really kill things super fast in low numbers. They need that big ball of them to be able to all blink together and with the power of friendship to kill all the units, but unfortunately there weren't quite enough there just yet. Lots of workers getting killed off, so a nice little move in the beginning here for Sturgeon as he's teching up into the Falcon and Stinger. So this is what I'm curious about, because obviously he's going straight into Falcon as he did the last 2 games, but can he just easily bait and switch this and just go right into Stingers, which end up being a super powerful ground tech?
That's, I think, the play is with this type of Starch 4 tech, it's ambiguous what type of gameplay you're going to be up against. Could it be the slow-moving Falcon pushes? Could it be the high-paced, Stinger kind of rundowns that we've seen? I guess not in the Tassel Tussle yet, but in a lot of other games, you know, with good players where they just sort of...
Ooh! Oh, sick move out of Trigger, but maybe a little bit over-eager as he's only able to get 1 initially. The second one stayed alive for quite a little while there. I mean, I love the snap decision-making. Unfortunately, misclicking again, doesn't actually get the focus fire. Will be able to pull it back is Sturgeon, really forcing these Blinks to overcommit in the places they maybe don't want to, and Sturgeon taking a nice trade and keeping just a few enough of these Stingers alive.
Okay, but he's got no anti-air right now.
He does have Blink Hunters on the back end somewhere, hopefully, because these Dragonflies are going to really chase him down.
Okay, just going to try to kill some workers over here. Thing is, Blink Hunters, this is like actually not easy to chase down. These are pretty quick units.
Yeah, Dragonflies are so annoying how fast they can dart between these 2 middle bases here.
No, I mean, it's really abusive on this map. Oh my god.
Oh, keep it in the back. No, Sturgeon loses it. Unfortunately, he won't be able to continue on with this fight as he's so busy trying to deal with these Dragonflies over on the left side. Will now go in with the Scorpions over here, but there's a... what's this thing called? I almost called it. I almost called it.
You mean Enforcers?
I almost called it an Enforcer. I don't know why
Robocops?
Why do I think this thing is called an Enforcer? I don't know.
Every once in a while, I have my own name for a unit or an ability, and I find out later, I'm like, oh, no one calls it that? Okay.
Anyways, so unfortunately, Trigger, for Sturgeon now that is, unfortunately Trigger's able to defend against that, and will start to pick apart this third base here as well as the Dragonflies. They're nice blink forward again. Trigger's so decisive with these moves.
Okay, so Trigger really keeping the pressure on here. Sturgeon being abused right now, by the way. No workers. Like, you don't have to kill a base to basically win this. Another blink in. God, the DPS on the Blink Hunters isn't that great either. Oh, I think this game's over.
Yeah, this is looking a bit rough now all of a sudden for Sturgeon. The Blinks going on top. The Blinks are just so sick out of Trigger here, getting on top of these Stingers. I mean, it seemed like he almost predicted Sturgeon to go for this deck, switching into Blinks himself to be able to counter that.
It's funny because, like, yeah, the Blinks just beat the Stingers. I think for Sturgeon's sake, I think he needs to be more conservative with the Stingers until he has, like, 5 or 6. Because when you only have, you know, the one Stinger, they will blink in, they will kill it, they will lose a couple blinks, it doesn't matter, and they'll get away.
I'm kind of curious. Sorry, I am kind of curious if Sturgeon will stick with the Stingers because I feel like there was still opportunity there. I think that was like just a micro gap situation.
I think you're probably right. I don't know that he will do it, but I think if you just get enough Stingers, I think that's not an issue because they blink into the Stinger shots. But when you have stray units and you haven't accumulated enough where you have that power behind it, it's a different story.
Yeah. This is the second Game 5, actually, Theory, right? We had the first one with State against...
Theory.
Wait, yeah, Theory, what? You played in a Game 5. What are you talking about? What? I forgot I was in this tournament. Nice. Excellent.
Yeah, and after this, we're going to be going into the round of 4. I think we'll have a little bit of a longer break here. We're just going to eat some food real quick here, maybe like a 10-minute break.
Fill up the gamer tummies.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of gamer fuel in there. Burning a lot of calories, yelling about battle aces. Okay. Is it going to be tech? Oh, it's a little bit of expansion chicken.
They're not doing anything.
Look at this.
Dude, this is I panic now as the host. Like, did I? Yeah. They said they were ready.
No, what I do is I'm like, all right, now I'm taking 2 bases immediately. Build up that many resources.
All right, they finally both expand. Just gonna sit. They're just playing a little fun game, keeping the host on their toes here. being a bit scared that I started the game too early. There's no in-game chat, so it's really annoying. Like, I have to go into Discord to confirm if they're ready. And then we're talking. I'm not quite sure if they're actually still ready or not. It's like, oh, it's so annoying. But thankfully, they're here, and they're actually playing. It's going to be another Scorp versus Gunbot game here. So back to the Gunbots from Trigger. Not going to stick with the Blinks. I'm really actually curious what his decision was to go into Blinks just for that game and now coming back to the Gunbots.
Yeah, it seems a little bit circular, like kind of the tech choices. You know, it's funny, though. I think Sturgeon had the success when he was versus the Gunbots, right?
True.
All right, this is a good engage over here.
He's going straight into the Falcons again. He just wants to keep trying to go for that. I mean, it was working the first 2 times. Maybe now he's thought a little bit and said, okay, maybe there is still a way that I can make this work against the Blink Hunters. Goes in now with some Scorpions on the right-hand side. We'll force all these Gunbots and Blink Hunters back over here. And meanwhile, the other one's going to try to DPS down this third base just a little bit, as it's going to take a little bit of time for the rest of these units to actually get over here.
Yeah, you know, Blinks... they don't have that much mobility on the map. They're good tactically when you're in the vicinity. I don't feel like Sturgeon should attack here. Yeah, running away is a wiser move.
Tech's about to finish up here with the Falcon, so that'll help him. But again, the thing here, the last time this happened is that Trigger was just so decisive when the Blink Hunters came out and was able to focus fire the Falcons one at a time before they could get critical mass. It's going to be up to Sturgeon here to keep them maybe on a high ground position or something, but that's just going to mean that this third base could easily get taken out.
Okay, he's got to be careful. Sturgeon does not want to bleed off too many Scorpions. He needs to keep these underneath the Falcons.
Oh, and there's the Blink forward, unfortunately, putting them a little bit too far forward. Will get blunked on, and that's going to be 3 dead Falcons right away, but getting a nice surround by the Scorpions as well. We'll be able to bleed some of those out. There was a counterattack in the meantime on the right side with some Scorpions, which was delaying a lot of the reinforcements from Trigger, and Sturgeon needs to come back here. He cannot be going out this far on the map right now. He needs to get a large amount of Falcons to be able to actually push this out.
Yeah, I'm worried that the Falcon count's already too low.
Yeah,
He almost sniped another one. Sturgeon needs to take the weak Falcons and just actually remove them from this fight.
Yeah, we need to move them back a little bit, I agree.
Like, you don't have to just have them in that group.
I'm just on the edge of my seat right now. As much as we're supposed to be unbiased during casting, I want my friend Sturgeon to win this game. I really want to see it. Oh, sick Blink from Trigger, though. Getting a nice Falcon snipe. That's really what he needs to get done here, is he needs to keep this Falcon count as low as possible without bleeding off too many of his own units here. And he's doing a great job of that. I mean, Sturgeon, sorry, I keep calling him by his other name. He's at least is keeping a lot of his Falcons alive as much as possible compared to the first time this happened. So he is staying alive. Unfortunately, that one doesn't get picked off just now. It does get killed off. I mean, this is getting a little bit rough now for Sturgeon.
Okay, Sturgeon, I mean, the targeting on the Falcons is going to be too much. The last Falcon's going to go down. I think that actually is game. I think denying the Falcon accumulation was key here. And I don't believe there's any way it's physically possible for Sturgeon to stop the push. I mean, the push can just keep coming out.
Yeah, this is looking really good now for Trigger. The micro has been just so on point. Sturgeon, unfortunately, up 2-0 from the beginning, loses out, will get reverse swept here by Trigger in the end.
That was wild. Well, I got to say, it's going to be a very exciting round of 4. Sturgeon put up a great fight back there. Cool to see in that series the kind of figuring out of the opponent's tech. Like, how do you do? We were watching in real time as Trigger couldn't deal with the Falcons. And I think one of the most memorable games of the whole event so far was Game 2. Yeah, where Sturgeon pushed all the way into the second base.
The slowest push of all time that happened to go into the natural.
But then you could see by Game 3 and 4 and obviously 5, Trigger figured it out. He was like, okay, I've made the right adjustments. Kind of focused directly on killing the strategy in its crib versus trying to play for a victory way later on, and so it worked out.
Yeah. No, that was really interesting to see. I mean, the decisiveness and just like pure killer instinct with that Blink Hunter style was actually so sick to see, because obviously I have been losing to that type of style extremely often. So now that I see a nice way to kind of just kill the Falcons before they can actually get off the ground is pretty good here. So yeah, just really nicely done by Trigger. Excellent adaptation.